I want you to forget everything you know about mattress retail conferences because we are so excited here at the FAM to announce Sleep Summit 2023, our new flagship event. Hey, if you're at your computer right now, I want you to go to sleepsummit.co. So sleepsummit.co. You're going to get all the details. It's happening October 9th through the 12th in beautiful Bentonville, Arkansas. That's my backyard. And Sleep Summit is built for forward-thinking mattress retailers and furniture retailers who are hunting for ways to make more money, increase profits from big ideas, people who want to optimize their business with AI and automation and new tools. It's for mattress retailers that really need to train their teams to massively grow their sales. And it's for leaders who really need space from the day-to-day to strategize and reflect. This is going to be dynamic presentations. We're going to have engaging breakout sessions, innovative group activities. I want you to block your calendar right now, October 9th through the 12th for Sleep Summit 2023. It's going to be a one-of-a-kind experience. You don't want to miss it. I promise you don't want to miss it. So tickets are available right now. The early bird special is going on. Okay, the prices are going to go up after July 31st, so don't wait. Get your entire team there. Go to sleepsummit.co right now, and we'll see you at Sleep Summit 2023.
Fam.news.
Welcome to the Sleep Summit Show, where we uncover bold ideas with innovators, entrepreneurs, and thought leaders making waves in the sleep industry. With your host, Mark Kinsley.
You can sleep on an innovation chosen by NASA iTech as one of the top 10 products worldwide that could impact space exploration. The founder of Nanobionics is here, and the Sleep Summit Show begins right now.
If I won't have it in my house, I won't deliver it to yours. I truly live by that. The Englander collection fits in perfect with that. It's one of the best products, mattress-wise, that I have sold. My $2,000 Englander is somebody's $5,000 bed in another retail store. To any retailer out there, you should really look at Englander and get them on the floor today.
Learn more and get started today at englander.com.
Welcome to the Sleep Summit Show, uncovering bold ideas with innovators, entrepreneurs, and thought leaders making waves inside the sleep industry. Our guest today is George Psipsikas, the founder and CEO of Nanobionics, a company that uses material technologies to transform natural body heat into usable energy. His products are placed in clothing, pillows, sheets, and yes, mattresses. George, welcome to the Sleep Summit Show.
Hi, Mark. Thank you very much for having me. And thank you for the introduction.
It's a pleasure to have you here. Now, we're going to find out where is the strangest place George has ever slept, and you're going to find that out later in the show. Before we dive into your story, George, and the origin of Nanobionics, we begin each episode with a Sleep Summit quiz question that we will answer at the end of the show. So today's quiz question focuses on a sleep study that placed participants into a semi-darkened room with nothing but their bed for 12 hours a day for 1 month. So for 12 hours a day for 30 days, they came into this room with only a bed. So in the beginning, many people who are sleep deprived, these participants would sleep about 10 to 12 hours each night. After about a week, the participants' sleep leveled off to an average of how many hours and minutes each night? How many hours and minutes each night did their sleep level off to? So be thinking about your guess, and we'll have George and myself reveal the answer later in the show. So George, your website describes Nanobionics as a soft coating made of infrared emitting minerals that can be applied to any type of surface such as clothing, foam, or textiles. So I have to start with this. Once Nanobionics is applied to a surface like that, what does it do?
Okay, so as you described, Nanobionic is a blend of minerals that is applied as a soft coating on any kind of textile. And once it comes in close proximity with the human body, the minerals get activated with body heat. And then they start emitting far infrared back to the body. Far infrared are invisible waves of light that have the ability to penetrate the skin and stimulate blood flow. It's a similar technology that is used in the face recognition of the iPhone or other phones. Invisible waves of light read your face and unlocks the phone. It's also a similar technology that is used in the infrared saunas. It's used in the remote control of your TV that changes the channels, or the car key that turns on and off the locks. And also, it's the same technology that nowadays is used in the incubators of newborn babies. So it's so safe. And one of the first to work with infrared light, it was NASA, where they were using these big infrared lamps in astronauts so they could improve circulation while they're in space.
Wow. So improved circulation. Let's go there for a minute, because I think my initial question was exactly what you answered. Once it's put back into the body, what function does it perform? And it performs the function of improving circulation. So for people who may not know, what happens when you have reduced circulation, or what does improved circulation do for the body?
Okay, I'm going to refer to both. So once you sleep on a mattress or on a soft bedding product treated with nanobionic technology, what happens is that you improve your quality of sleep. Your quality of sleep improves significantly, and we've done a sleep study in France, and we've seen that because of the stimulation of blood flow, muscles they get softened and they recover faster. So you're not tight, let's say, and once you improve circulation, oxygenation is also increased in the body. So your body recovers much faster. It's all about recovery and quality of sleep. Based on the study that we have conducted on mattresses and bedding products with Nanobionic, we've seen that people fell asleep faster, on average around 15 minutes faster. They wake up less times during the night. And when they woke up, they were more rested, less tired, and more energetic.
That's
and
incredible.
It's all because of the beautiful benefits of infrared and the stimulation of blood flow that I've mentioned.
Yeah, I've heard a guy named Gary Brecka say, where there is oxygen, there is lack of disease. And where there is blood flow, there's oxygenation to those parts of the bodies. I mean, that's one of the big things with pressure relief in a mattress, is you're always trying to make sure that you don't have a gasketing effect that eliminates blood flow and oxygen going to those parts of the bodies, which would obviously lead to bed sores. When you came across this technology, let's go back to that origin story. What was that moment? What did you see? Where were you at? How did you discover this? And how did you think, I'm going to map this over to clothing and eventually bedding and sleep products?
Okay, so I created this technology back in 2010, but the intention had nothing to do with sleep. I was very athletic, and I was very much into sports, just like you. You mentioned before we started the show. So I wanted to find a natural way to improve athletic performance. And I was watching lots of friends and strangers at the gym that they were using all these supplements. Some of them, they were not really that good for the body, and all these energy drinks full of caffeine and sugar. And they were clearly not really good for the body. So I wanted to find a natural way to improve athletic performance. And through my research, I've seen that the mechanism to improve athletic performance is through the circulatory system. Once you improve circulation, you can improve athletic performance. So that's how Nanobionic was born. So I started Nanobionic basically because I wanted to sell natural enhancing products to athletes. And the first couple of years of our operation were where we started in Europe. The focus was purely athletic clothes to professional athletes, so they can improve their athletic performance.
That's incredible.
But then, down the line, we've seen that once you stimulate blood flow, there are so many other potential benefits. And we started receiving requests from some of the professional athletes. And when I say athletes, I don't mean about local athletes. We used to work, and we still do, work with professional athletes, NBA athletes, NFL players, Olympic athletes, national teams, athletes of the greatest success and importance, let's say, in the sports world. And performance was extremely important for them. But then they started becoming extremely aware of recovery. Back in time, recovery was not the most important things, the most important thing when it comes to enhancing performance. But then it became so linked. Recovery and performance became like one thing. If you cannot recover, you cannot perform. So we started receiving requests from some of the professional athletes to provide them with our fabrics for their mattresses, like as bed sheets. And that's how the idea of creating bedding product with Nanobionic started, after some requests from athletes. Not long after, we decided to run a sleep study in a sleep institute in France to see if there are any actual measurable benefits. And after the study came, it became clear that there are clear benefits to sleeping on products with Nanobionic technology, and that's how we got into market.
Let's go there for a minute. Talk about that sleep study and what were those measurable markers that indicated an enhancement in performance or recovery or whatever other variables you were trying to measure.
Okay, so let me say that to date, Nanobionic has conducted 8 different scientific studies. We have measured athletic performance, and we've seen that when Nanobionic is used in athletic apparel, you increase your muscle strength, your endurance, and your flexibility. Then we've done a sleep study where we've seen that you fall asleep faster, you wake up less times during the night, and when you wake up, you feel more rested, more energetic, and of course less tired. Because so many people, they go to bed and they wake up tired, and that defeats the purpose. The idea is to feel really well rested and ready to go. Then we've also conducted studies on proving that our technology reduces the free radicals and the oxidative stress on a cellular level. And that was a very big study. It was conducted in collaboration with 2 universities and the National Research Institute of Technology in Greece, in Italy, and in Sweden. It was a combination of 3 different institutes. And we've basically seen that the Nanobionic products provide antioxidant benefits. And that's by reducing the free radicals and the oxidative stress on a cellular level. It's something that derives from the stimulation of blood flow, which allows better oxygenation. So it's a chain reaction of things that happens to the body that you get these benefits. Then we have also conducted other studies. The latest study was done in collaboration with UC Berkeley in California, and we've seen that Nanobionic stimulates blood flow in the extremities, and that allows more blood to flow into the hands and feet, which increases temperature on people with cold hands, not on people with normal blood circulation. And that was something that NASA some time ago saw the results of the study with Berkeley, and they actually awarded us as one of the top 10 most innovative companies in the world, and one of the 10 companies that will impact space exploration in the near future.
George, that is an impressive designation for NASA to identify your company and your technology as something that could impact missions to the moon and to Mars. Whenever you got that news, did you get any feedback from NASA about how they saw this applying Now, of course, you mentioned whenever you go into space, into a zero gravity environment, your blood flow can decrease. So I can see the natural connection there to increases in blood flow. But did they identify any other futuristic or magical opportunities that would be applied in space exploration?
Yeah. After we've been selected by NASA as top 10, initially we were selected as top 25 finalists. And then a few days later, we're top 10 finalists. So we had to travel to New Mexico at the Space Center where, all the 10 companies were awarded. And they had to go through a process with all the scientific team of NASA. And there we discussed the different possibilities for the technology. One of them is being in the spacesuits. So it can constantly improve circulation while they're in zero gravity. Other potential applications is for astronauts when they come from space, because they lose muscle mass, spending months in space in zero gravity. So recovery is extremely important for them. Just to get an idea, now NASA is planning to send people to Mars in collaboration with SpaceX. And the first astronauts, they will stay there for years. We don't know exactly how long, but it's going to be much longer than, the short trips that we had in the space station or, in the moon. So the only solution that they have right now for astronauts to maintain a good physical condition and to keep their blood floating is for them to exercise almost 2.5 hours a day. And that's for the rest of their lives. And we're not talking about normal exercise because there's no gravity. So they need to use elastic bands. They cannot do like a treadmill the same way. So they need to do certain things, which for the long run, it's almost impossible. Nobody will be able to keep up with, 2 or 2.5 hours training a day. And everything is a muscle. Everything from our heart to our, normal muscles throughout the body is part of the muscle system. So we have demonstrated that we can provide a solution for this problem. So that's the exciting part.
That's incredible. Yeah, I've seen the machine that they had a nickname for it that the astronauts actually use that's like a treadmill, but it literally has a harness that attaches them to the treadmill so they can actually not float away as they're running. And like you said, very cumbersome, almost impossible to maintain for a long period of time. But yeah, I've talked to Chris Cassidy. He's a 500 person in space. He was chief astronaut with NASA, and he talked about the rigors of trying to maintain an exercise routine and then getting back and still having significant loss of muscle mass. Incredible work, George. When you started into the sleep space and you began looking at providing sheets for professional athletes who wanted to gain a performance and a recovery advantage, and you began navigating the sleep space, what are some of the other technologies or companies or insights that you came across that really gave you some of those aha moments about where the sleep space is heading or how Nanobionics could participate in it?
So, I'm sure you're familiar with the bedding industry in general has been a very traditional industry. There hasn't been very many changes until the last few years that we started seeing a lot of advances and a lot of different technologies. Most of the times, these technologies, they come from the apparel world or from other industries. For example, the cooling technology, right? It started slowly, now it expanded like really fast. And this is something that came from the apparel industry. We've seen it there before. Actually, the first time I've seen cooling, it was maybe like, I don't want to say 15 years ago, something like that. And I haven't thought that it would go to the bedding industry, to the sleep industry. It didn't click initially. But I mean, so many different technologies are coming into the market. Some of them, they make more sense, some of them a little bit less. Nanobionic is something that really interacts with the body and provides a better night's sleep. So it's not just a feeling. It's not like cooling, for example, that you feel instantly, but then it fades away with time. So it's something that really happens throughout the whole night and improves your quality of sleep. Also, it's important to mention that Nanobionic can be combined with many different other technologies. It can be combined with cooling. It can be combined with antimicrobial. It can be combined with moisture wicking or anything else that is out there without diminishing the effects of any other technology.
George, is Nanobionics something that you want to put into mattresses that you make? And I know you do that. I know you make mattresses and sheets and pillows and toppers and a variety of products in the clothing space. Is it something that you also want other mattress manufacturers to be able to place into their foams or into their covers and sell it as kind of an Intel inside?
Yes, correct. So we do both. We started from Europe by making final products for consumers like bed sheets and pillows and mattresses. We currently do very well. But at the same time, we also license our technology to other bedding manufacturers or mattress manufacturers or even furniture manufacturers. I don't know if we talked about it in the past, but recently we've made a global partnership with La-Z-Boy for wellness and recovery. So now you can find Nanobionic technology powering La-Z-Boy's furniture. And this is a global partnership that is going in multiple countries, in Europe, Asia, the Middle East, Australia, Latin America, etc. It's a global partnership. So it's something that can really go on anything that comes in close proximity with the human body.
Wow, that's incredible. Congratulations on that partnership with La-Z-Boy, an incredible company, like you said, a global company. And for people that may be sitting or people that may have to sit for long periods of time, we should be taking advantage of every opportunity we can to increase that blood flow and make sure that there's some sort of health and wellness attached to our body. And like you said on your website, I think it mentions that the human body produces around 100 watts of energy at any given time. So you're now able to harness and recycle that energy and let it help you increase your blood flow so that you're not suffering the effects of what typically happens when you sit for long periods of time, including, numbness and pressure sores and pressure ulcers for people that are immobile. It's incredible.
Or cold hands, cold feet, some of the effects. I mean, what you've mentioned is great. Imagine our body produces so much energy that is powerful enough to charge around 20 iPhones per hour. That's how much energy, if we try to put it in context, right? That's how much energy our body produces. All this energy goes wasted. It comes out in the form of heat. So with Nanobionic, we found a way to capture this energy, this heat, and transform it into beneficial far infrared, these invisible waves of light that have the ability to stimulate your blood flow and improve your overall wellness. And that comes with improving your quality of sleep, enhancing your recovery, or boosting your energy throughout the day. You will feel less tired because, as I said, the body mechanism for performing and for recovering is the same. It's the circulatory system. So it's extremely important.
George, what are some of the specific stories from athletes or anyone beyond that they've told you, hey, I started using a product with Nanobionic, maybe it was sheets, maybe it was clothing, and here's what I noticed? Any stories from famous people or athletes or anything you can share about those performance enhancements?
Yeah, I mean, we have so many athletes, so many professional athletes. Of course, amateur athletes like you and me, there are so many. But for them, you don't need to convince them. They know their maximum capacity on doing things. And they know how far they can jump. They know how much weight they can lift at any given time. So when they see that something really improves their performance in a meaningful way, they just go for it. It's their whole life. Maybe it's more difficult for me and you to measure our performance in a scientific way, but they have all the necessary tools available. So with athletes, they get really addicted in a good way. Once they try Nanobionic products, they really want to live with them. We have many cases of, especially in the basketball world. I don't want to mention names. We have NBA athletes that they cannot perform, they cannot play games without wearing Nanobionic products. And there were cases that sometime, an athlete, they did not have they lost, or they did not have them like a t-shirt or socks with Nanobionic, and we had to rush into the game. We had to send somebody to bring in an urgent way products so they can wear, because athletes, they have a routine, and if you change it, they feel like the whole world is going down sometimes. So they need to keep that routine in order for them to perform.
George, where can people, so first of all, we're going to get to the strangest place you've ever slept, and we're going to get to our Sleep Summit quiz question. For people who are interested in getting connected to you or learning more about Nanobionics, where should they go?
Okay. When it comes to the technology, and that's a business-to-business website, it's mostly for large or small companies that want to partner with Nanobionic. Our website is nanobionic-group.com. That's the B2B website. And for commercial products, you can find us at nanobionic.com.
Nanobionic.com. Okay, the moment we've been waiting for. The strangest place George Psipsikas has ever slept.
Okay, I don't know how strange it is, but when I was younger, my father was a car dealer. And both my brother and myself, we were living around cars. So we used to constantly sleep inside cars, brand new cars at the time, So I would always find myself sleeping in a car. It's not the strangest thing, but sleeping on brand new cars all the time and having that smell of brand new car, it was like, I don't know, it creates like a sleepy feeling. Like when I get into a new car now, I feel like sleeping because I remember I have that feeling since I was a kid.
What a great story. Yeah, I know the signals you create. I'm always telling people about bedtime routines, making sure that, I lower my lights, around 8 p.m. So there's campfire light in my room, and the white noise machine, or it's actually brown noise machine. I click that on. I take a shower at night to give myself a full body signal that it's time to go to bed. But then, just like you described, smell has such a magical way of transporting you through time and reintroducing something that you felt in that moment. So every time you see new cars. So George, it sounds like, I know you live in New York City, but if you do drive, make sure you're driving a used car, because we don't want you falling asleep.
Can you imagine falling asleep, like going to buy a new car and then falling asleep? Because I used to do that when I was a kid. Yeah, but that's the weird thing, right? About routines that you mentioned. They work.
Yeah, they do work. I mean, I was just looking at some sleep science today, and they said during the first hour and a half, so I think it's their first cycle of sleep, that's when human growth hormone is released. And it happens whenever you have a consistent bedtime. Your body gets into the habit of releasing those hormones, and it only happens during that first cycle. So if your standard bedtime is 10 p.m., and you decide one night to push that back to 11 p.m., you can't generate that cycle of HGH release by going to bed at 11. You miss it for that night.
Oh, wow. You do?
You miss it for the night.
Doesn't it move with the time you sleep?
It does not. So over time, if you established a new bedtime as 11 p.m., you eventually would kickstart that back into action. So your HGH release would happen. But we are such creatures of the clock, and we don't even know it.
Oh, wow. That's very interesting. And what happens to people with upset schedule, like doctors, and they don't really get the benefits of?
That's true. I mean, shift worker syndrome is a really established problem within sleep science because people are operating outside of their circadian rhythm. They're maybe if they're shift workers and they're rotating their shifts, and they never get into anything that can allow them to harness somewhat of a schedule, even though it's not in alignment with the circadian rhythm or the clock of the day. So yeah, it's a major problem. And whenever I dissect a lot of the different books I've read about sleep and listen to the different experts, professionals, doctors, researchers, I distilled everything down into one common piece of advice, and it was the bedtime. They say if you want to have one of the biggest impacts on your bed, on your sleep, on your recovery, on your performance, on being able to harness the true recovery power of sleep, it's having that consistent bedtime. And of course, coupling it with nanobionics.
Yeah, yes, for sure. If you want a better night's sleep, then that's definitely going to help your sleep. And if your recovery is important for your everyday performance, whether you're an athlete, an astronaut, or an everyday person like me, then that's really the way to go.
All right, it's time for our quiz question. So we started the show with our Sleep Summit quiz question, and it dealt with this study where participants were put into a semi-dark room for 12 hours a day for a month. So every day for 12 hours a day, they'd come back to this semi-dark room. Most of them slept about 10 to 12 hours, and then after about a week, they caught up on their sleep, and it started to level off. And the participants leveled off at an average of how many hours and minutes each night? Now, I'm going to help you out on the minutes. It's either 15, 30, or 45. So how many hours and minutes each night?
I would say 8 hours and 45 minutes.
Very close. Very close. 8 hours and 15 minutes.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And if you think about it, I looked at that study and I thought, okay, number one, it shows how many people are sleep deprived, that most of the participants did need extra time to get caught up on their sleep. But then, people that are getting, 7 hours a night may be undercutting what they actually need in terms of their biological sleep needs. So 8 hours and 15 minutes was the winner. How many hours do you get a night typically?
I would say around 8 hours.
Same for me. I end up, when I'm well rested, and because I'm working out a lot, I'm cycling a lot, sometimes I'll go a little bit beyond 8 hours if I've got a big race coming up and I'm putting in a lot of miles on my bike. But yeah, I'm an 8 hours guy myself.
Yeah. And I don't know. I mean, I wake up no matter what. I cannot sleep. Like I'm so jealous of people that they can sleep for 10 hours. Like my wife, she can sleep for 11 hours. If there's nothing, like there's no reason to wake up, mostly in the weekend, she can go for it. And I'm so jealous that I cannot. I don't know. I'm built that way, I guess. Some people need more, some people less,
My wife, Tara, is the same way. She can sleep for 10 hours, 10 and a half hours. I always joke around. I'm like, hey, you're just not your same. You're not your best if you don't get your 10 and a half hours a night.
Yeah. And you know what? That's going to be funny. I also have a small dog. Her name is Tiffany. And I'm mostly jealous of her because they can go in and out of sleep in like seconds. And I could only wish I was like that.
This may be pseudoscience, so don't quote me on this, but I did read at one point years ago that humans are the only species that intentionally delays sleep. Now, of course, if you're an animal and you're getting chased out on the Serengeti, you're not gonna go to sleep at that moment. But whenever you don't have any of the hostilities of the natural world, we seem to be the only species that intentionally delays sleep.
Because
we're working on it. That's
everything.
why we're having the Sleep Summit. That's right. Well, hey, George, thank you so much for being on the show. We appreciate your wisdom, your insights, and the innovation that you're bringing to the sleep industry and the broader sleep economy. You can get connected with George at nanobionic-group.com. And of course, if you Google Nanobionics, really amazing technology. And I have a feeling we're going to be seeing a lot more of it in the mattress industry and beyond as we move forward. So thank you again for being on the show.
Mark, thank you very much for having me. It's really an honor. Congrats for all the great work you do. And thank you again for having me. It was a pleasure.